Hi everyone, how you doing today? Running a little bit late today, but I made it, just barely. I had to take a shower. It's warm. We went we went from cold to decent to really cold to hot to I don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring. Well, you know what they say, if you don't like the weather in New England, wait a minute. And that's what I'm doing. I will let you know that I have signed up officially for the Jaffrey Community Center, Rec Center's craft fair, which is on December 10th from, I believe it's either from 9 to 2 or from 8 to 2 in the morning. Yeah, so I will be there. And as far as I know, I will be at the front door because I don't mind being near the open door because I don't get cold because I'm in layers. In fact, it'll be better than sweating to death out in the main part of the hall where they're probably going to crank the temperature way up. So the world is good. I'm just looking at myself on the screen here and my face is so red in color in comparison to my pale skin. So folks, this is what happens when you dress like a medieval person all summer. So I wear a wimple and I wear long sleeves and I wear gowns that cover me to here. And so the only part of me that sees the light is this. And in fact, in the height of summer, you can actually see my tan ends there. It's really exciting. It's fun picking out other reenactors. Hey, I recognize, it's like a farmer's tan. If you know it, you know it, but anyway. This is week 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Week 4 of NaNoWriMo prep. That means we have a little less than 2 weeks to go until the start of NaNoWriMo. Can you believe that? 2 weeks. 2 weeks, baby. I am not ready. So not ready. But, excuse me. The exercise today or this week for week 4 in the NaNoWriMo website is create and explore settings for your novels. And there's a world building camp track that you can do. And so there's like an exercise that you can click on in the website and it will take you to, it's actually the Young Novelist workbook, but it works the same way. So, what you're going to do is you're going to get in and have some fun doing creation of world building. I use a place called, let's see if I can find it here because I always forget the name of it, World Anvil. So it's World Anvil, WORLDANVIL.com. And I adore it. It's fantastic. The set out is fairly easy to figure out. And it's not really complicated. Okay. So, I mean, you're getting, how do you create your world? It goes over all of the steps. It asks you all sorts of questions. Sorry, I should have logged into it before I got here. And of course I didn't. So now I'm like running around trying to get in here. They also have a sale on right now if you want to buy the paid version, but you don't have to pay to use it for the kind of thing I have. So that you can create buildings, characters, conditions like a nuclear holocaust, that kind of thing, conflicts, countries, documents, ethnicities. For instance, I created elves, dwarves, etc. for one of my fantasy novels, gods and deities, geography, an item like a magic sword, languages, materials. Do you use vibranium to build stuff in your world? Military units, myths and legends, natural laws. Say on your world, there's no such thing as gravity. Okay, I don't know how that would work, but you can explain it. Organizations, think SHIELD, or the Avengers. Plot hooks, professions that people have, like you can do normal ones like blacksmith or cook, but also think about your world setting, because your world might have people who do healing magic using food. So they have their own profession. Prose, if somebody's a poet and they've written something, you can do that. Religion, titles, for instance, king and queen, or president and president's wife, or that kind of thing. Settlements or villages. Species, spells, technology, traditions, vehicles. You create all these things, and you put it all together, and it turns into a whole world. And this is helpful, especially if you're writing a series. So this year I'm working, as I had said, on the third book in the Taylor Mage trilogy. And so Alex is going to be coming back and having her swan song before she says goodbye to you all and moves on to do other things. She'll still be in stories, I think, but she might be more of a background character. But the world that I created in the first novel, I really needed to have all of that information written down, because I mean, how am I going to remember all that stuff? There's like little things that happened in the background that have no meaning for one aspect of the world and huge meaning for other aspects. So, I mean, the manner in which Alexandra was created, doesn't really mean much in the first book. I mean, it's there. It's just a method of how she became a vampire. But who knows? Maybe in book 3, it's something that's really, really important, and some small detail of that might come to play. It's one of those things. So you have to just kind of look at it and figure it out. When you write it all down, it allows you to codify it. And so your books in particular, when you're writing a series of small stories or a series of big ones, it allows it to be internally consistent, which is big. It really is. Sorry. I don't know how many times I've been reading a book and I get yanked out of my suspended disbelief because of some stupid little detail that I caught that the author did not. So this is a method. The more detailed your world is, the more you can have people create it. And in fact, when I'm writing, I have a tendency to create the world and then create some of the big things that are happening. And then, just kind of let my characters run loose and see what actually happens. I don't always, figure it out. Sometimes I just sort of toss them in and see where it goes. And that's pretty cool. I mean, I know I have to get from one plot point to the next. But how they get there, sometimes they don't do what I tell them to do. Welcome to being an author where you are no longer in control of anything. But you're not just world building in the big sense of things. In the two Taylor Mange novels, I have a couple of settings that are used repeatedly. The first is Dez's house, with the study and stuff where he works, and the basement where they lock people up, and then the throne room that's down in out in Vancouver, BC, where they go to do court with the leader of the group. And you have to build those things too in order to make them come to life. If you know what's standing in every corner, then you can describe it to other people. And you can play with it a bit. So for instance, I might have somebody run into the throne room and trip over the small table tray that's near the door, because that's what they keep their paperwork on. I mean, it's a stupid little detail, but if I need to have somebody do an entrance that makes them stand out, that gives me something to do. Or, your spy sneaks in and hides behind the big vase of flowers in the back of the room. You don't want that to just appear. You want people to know that that's been there the whole time, even though you don't talk about it. It wasn't a plot point before, but it was a thing. So all of that is part of an important part of world building, and knowing how your world works. My worlds have a lot of them have magic of some kind, and there's different magic in my fantasy worlds than there is in the world in which Alexandra runs around in, because that's basically our world, and the magic isn't all that different from the real world. There are little tweaks that are different. My fantasy world has a whole set of rules that are just for magic, and I have to make sure those are all internally consistent. So that's what you want to do. Now, I always said I was going to describe this in per events. So I went to the Jaffrey's Scarecrow on the Commons last weekend, and I sold some books and had some fun, and I had my everything set up and my big tent and all that. It was a blast. We had a great time. And while I was there, I interacted with people. And as a writer, everybody I interact with has the opportunity to become a character. Yes, that means you. And how I interact with you will advise how I create you as a character. And it's not likely that it's going to be you, as in I pluck that one person out and drop them into my book. I have done that, but I don't do it on a regular basis. Most of the time what I do is I go, well, let's make a mishmash of, 6 of the guys in my life. Okay, we'll smash them all together. And, so it's not one person, and I'm not picking on anybody, but just on traits and stuff. But all of that is again, it's I get that from interacting with the real world. And the more you interact and pay attention to the real world, the better you can describe it in your book and make your world become real for the readers. Pay attention to your inner monologue as you're interacting with people or wandering or going for a walk or a hike, and use that information, what you notice as a hiker or a walker or a vendor at an event, and pull it back into your book and make it sing, because that's what you do when you write what you know, when you write the things that you have experience with. That experience comes through in the words that you're putting on the page and makes it more relatable and more interesting. And I will go so far as to say this is how Star Trek dealt with a lot of their technology. Okay, they were dealing with things that didn't exist. Okay, and they were so good at making it sound like those were everyday items that we are now creating everyday items based on a fictional show. How many of you owned a flip phone in the 80s? Well, okay, not the 80s, but the 2000s. And in the 2000s, yeah, I know, 20 years ago, that was the 80s, right? I'm dating myself here, but anyway, when I got my first flip phone, the first thing I did was go through online and find all of the Star Trek sounds, so that when I flipped it open, it would go and make the noise, and moving through screens would make this door sounds. And that was what I did because it was cool, and because that's what we based these phones on. Communicators from Star Trek. Come on, guys, this is awesome. And that comes through to today. What we create in our worlds today could be the inventions and the things which inspire people to create in the future. And that goes for fantasy, it goes for sci-fi, it goes for anything out there, even romance. I love being a writer because I get to bring these worlds to life. And I hope that I get to share some of those things. Now, if you are on NaNoWriMo and you would like to meet with me and hang out with me on the NaNoWriMo website, or buddy me as it goes, I am on there as Rev Allyson. That's REVALLYSON. YSON, as in Reverend, because that's the other thing I do. I'm a minister. Yay. Seminary trained even. So if you want to buddy me, go right ahead. I always love it. I'll probably do some Zoom room type things or Google Chat, Google Hangouts, whatever they're called now, where we all can sit around and type together. Because I don't drive, I don't always have the ability to get to the write-ins that are out there, but I can do virtual ones. So you can join me. Anybody can join me. You can join me if you're in Antarctica. Yay. Anyway, with that in mind, I have bread I got to go put in the oven. So you guys have a great week. Remember, we're in the last 2 weeks before NaNoWriMo. You can do this. Have confidence in yourself. Remember, okay? I've talked in the past about imposter syndrome. And that's, like, when are people going to wake up to the fact that I'm not really an author? Yeah, I'll think I am, but I'm not. And I will tell you something. If you're experiencing imposter syndrome, then you must be good at whatever you're experiencing it over, because those who do not have any skill in it have no idea that they're not good. And so oftentimes they're more confident and they don't experience imposter syndrome. So if you're experiencing imposter syndrome, high five. It means you're good and you care about your craft. Excellent. All right, guys, have a great week. I'll see you next Wednesday. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the beautiful colored leaves. And keep prepping and getting ready. I know you can. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay.